evening and welcome to this edition of the Evening News for today, Saturday, June 12, 2021. I'm Jemima Holmes. Thank you for joining us. In the headlines tonight, high turnout at drive-thrus boosting Guyana's COVID-19 vaccine campaign as 2 more COVID-19 deaths, 107 new cases recorded. AG's report on fuel import racket sent to police, says Finance Minister. Porter drowns in attempting to swim across BARIMA River. Prices of vegetables escalated markets in BERBICE, and JAIPAUL, SHARMA, TABITHA, SARABO-HALLEY formed their own parties to join APNU. Now for the news in detail. We begin tonight's newscast by telling you that Senior Minister with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, has instructed the chairman of the Guyana Oil Company, GAIL, Paul Chiang, to hand over the Auditor General's report on the alleged fuel import racket to the Guyana Police Force for determination on whether any illegality was committed. Find out more in this report.
On the question of whether there was any illegality, that's a question that the Auditor General deferred to the police and said that the appropriate authority to inquire into that matter would be the police, and so I've said to the chairman of the board that the report should be sent to the police for any action that they deem to be appropriate. But that's a matter that the police would have to examine. They would have to examine the findings reported by the Auditor General to determine whether they think there's a basis for inquiry into whether there was any action that could be deemed in violation of the law.
That was Finance Minister Dr. Ashni Singh updating reporters on the probe into GAIL's import fuel racket. According to Singh, the Auditor General's report cited inappropriate actions by several former senior GAIL officials, something that government had already concluded. He added too that the report made recommendations for certain disciplinary actions against persons involved, which again, government had already taken. Back in April, President Irfan Ali had disclosed that GAIL's board member, Akani Blair, and Chief Financial Officer Sean Prasad were removed from their respective posts after they were found to have gone beyond their mandates and engaged in unauthorized communications with Aaron's Realty, which had claimed that it was contracted to import fuel for the state-run oil company, but GAIL went back on the deal. Amidst this scandal, GAIL's general manager at the time, Trevor Basu, had also resigned but contended it had nothing to do with the fuel controversy. Nevertheless, Minister Singh told reporters on Thursday that the Auditor General's report also fingered other individuals at the oil company for having inappropriate communication with Aaron Realty. He noted that the board has been instructed to look into this, as well as other observations and recommendations made by the Auditor General, including strengthening of internal systems.
I've asked the board to examine all aspects of the report closely and to ensure that they take all appropriate corrective actions to address the issues identified by the Auditor General. I've also said to the company that they need to strengthen their systems. They need to follow, as we've always said to all public sector entities, you need to follow transparent processes. There have to be very clear processes for procuring items or procuring supplies that must be based on a transparent and competitive process, and that came out in the Auditor General's report as well.
The Finance Minister further reiterated government's zero tolerance for corrupt behavior. He reminded persons holding high offices that they are expected to exercise better judgment. Reporting for the Evening News, Fanu Manikchand.
We now tell you that JAIPAUL, SHARMA, and TABITHA, SARABO-HALLEY, who are former members of Parliament for the Justice for All Party and the Working People's Alliance, respectively, have now started political parties of their own. In this Gerald Bryan report, you will hear that the 2 new parties have since joined forces with the PNC-led A Partnership for National Unity, the majority party in the coalition opposition. Here are the details.
This announcement was made by the A Partnership for National Unity, APNU. In the statement today, it was noted that JAIPAUL Sharma, former junior finance minister, has formed a party called Equal Rights and Justice Party, ERJP. Meanwhile, SARABO-HALLEY, who served as the Public Service Minister on the APNU AFC, has formed a party called the Guyana Nation Builders Movement, GNBM. Both SHARMA and SARABO-HALLEY's initial political parties, JFAP and WPA respectively, had vacated the APNU AFC coalition after their loss at the 2020 polls. While SHARMA had left the political scene, SARABO-HALLEY remained as a Member of Parliament for the opposition APNU AFC coalition. It was an acrimonious parting, as both parties had accused the coalition of not consulting with them. However, both the ERJP and GNBM have now applied to join the APNU. Those applications were approved. They now join other parties in APNU, such as the Guyana Action Party, GAP, the National Front Alliance, NFA, and the People's National Congress Reform, PNCR. Jarrell Bryan, The Evening News.
Days after declaring the ongoing flood crisis a Level 2 disaster, Guyana is now likely to receive emergency support from the European Union under its civil protection mechanism. Lawanda McAllister joins us with the details.
The EU Civil Protection Mechanism aims to improve prevention, preparedness, and response to disasters when an emergency overwhelms local response capabilities of the affected country. On Friday, Charge d'Affaires of the Delegation of the European Union in Guyana, Evelina Melbarsde, invited Guyana to make a formal request for the Civil Protection Mechanism to be activated. She indicated this to Director General of the Civil Defense Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, who was updating her on the Level 2 flood disaster that has been declared in Guyana. The Charge d'Affaires said, and I quote, "Once the mechanism is activated, the assistance is coordinated among 34 countries who participated in the EU CPM. I would invite you to formulate your requests and tell us what exactly would be needed." End quote. Further, Melbarsde informed the CDC that if this mechanism would be launched, it would not be linked to any EU projects that are currently being implemented in Guyana. Heavy rainfalls over the past weeks have caused flooding in all 10 regions across Guyana. As a consequence, it was declared earlier this week that the current flood situation in Guyana has reached a Level 2 disaster. That is, the national capacity to respond is not overwhelmed, but some external assistance is required. The following day, on Thursday, CARICOM Implementation Agency for Crime and Security donated 10,000 surgical masks, 30 handheld non-contact thermometers, and 6,600 water purification tablets to the CDC to support local relief efforts. Meanwhile, the Guyana government has moved to the National Assembly seeking $10 million in supplementary funding for flood relief interventions, including repairs to infrastructure and supporting recovery in the productive and household sectors. Reporting for the Evening News, I am Lawanda McAllister.
A 22-year-old man from 4 Miles, Port Kaituma, Region 1, drowned on Thursday while attempting to swim across the BARIMA River at Northwest District. The late Franklin Benjamin had been a truck porter who would assist in delivering food supplies and fuel to various back dams in the region. On Sunday last, Benjamin and his crew left Port Kaituma to deliver food supplies and fuel in the back dam. Police say 2 days later they approached the BARIMA River, but the water level was high at the time, and it prevented them from crossing. They waited another 2 days for the water to recede, but continuous heavy rainfall prevented this. Out of frustration on Thursday at about 17:30 hours, Benjamin attempted to swim across the said river, which is about 65 feet wide and has a strong undercurrent. While in the middle of the river, the young man encountered difficulties and shouted for help, and his crewmates attempted to rescue him, but their efforts were futile. Benjamin went below the surface of the water and did not resurface. His body was later recovered by his crew members and taken to the Port Kaituma District Hospital, where he was pronounced dead by the doctor on duty. Investigations are ongoing. Coming up on the other side of the break, high turnout at drive-thrus boosting Guyana's COVID-19 vaccine campaign as 2 more COVID-19 deaths, 107 new cases recorded, and prices of vegetables escalate at markets in BERBICE. Please stay tuned.
Complete control of power is in your hands with the ultimate U.S. brand Generac generators from Sylvie's Variety Store. Get the supply and reliability you need every time. From 1,800 to 8,000 watts of power for residential and commercial use. Recoil and electric start with gasoline engines. Generac generators from the authorized dealers Sylvie's Variety Store.
Massey is by your side as we continue the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. In collaboration with OneCart, you can now get your groceries delivered or you can pick up curbside. Call, email, or WhatsApp your order to us. This service is available at both Providence and Turkine locations. Delivery and pickup between 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The fee is based on location. Orders must be paid in cash and placed 24 hours in advance. Special conditions apply. Remember to always protect yourself and those around you by wearing your masks. Also, don't forget to wash your hands and maintain a distance of 6 feet at all times around persons. Massey Stores. Our family serving your family.
Get the right seal right now from Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc., your immediate SKF sealing solutions. The SKF Seal Jet Machine is capable of building seals from 5mm to 600mm in diameter in under 5 minutes. With technical support readily available, you can get a customized seal to suit virtually any industrial application, like buffer, rod, wiper, and piston seals. SKF Seal Jet Machine, now at Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc.
Welcome back. You're watching the evening news. The Ministry of Health has reported that 2 more persons who tested positive for the novel coronavirus have died. This now takes the total number of deaths from the pandemic to 424. The latest fatalities are a 51-year-old woman from Region 4 and a 71-year-old male from Region 9. They both died on Saturday while receiving care at medical facilities. Meanwhile, the ministry also reported 107 new COVID-19 cases. With this, the total number of confirmed cases in Guyana has gone up to 18,303, of which only 1,629 are currently active cases. These include 21 patients in the COVID-19 ICU and the other 1,608 persons in both home and institutional isolation. To date, some 16,250 persons have recovered from the life-threatening disease. Meanwhile, Rupasina Ryan tells us in this report that resounding success at both the East Bank and East Coast Demerara locations of the Ministry of Health's COVID-19 vaccine drive-through initiative has set the tempo for more such events to be coordinated in the future. Here are the details.
This weekend, the exercise continues at the Guyana National Stadium Providence on the east bank of Demerara, while Movie Town on the east coast of Demerara is the newest drive-through location. Over at the mall, however, a significant number of persons showed up to receive their first and second doses of the vaccines. Communications Manager of the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation, Shalon at Providence, told this newscast that there is consideration to make the drive-thru at Movie Town a permanent location after witnessing today's turnout.
Quite like what we did at Providence a few weeks ago, we've decided to replicate the activity here at Turkine at Movie Town. And we've had quite an outstanding response. Since we started at 9 this morning, we've had a constant flow of persons coming to get vaccinated. One of the good things about today is that we've had a few private sector companies come on board and offer some incentives to persons who come out and get vaccinated. So people are really excited about that. We've had Sol Guyana, the Cinco, Movie Town themselves give out prizes and giveaways to persons as they come. We have a few other companies as well, and so we're looking forward to continuing those partnerships. Based on the response that we've gotten today, I think that we do anticipate that this would be a more permanent arrangement for us going forward, because we have had a pretty overwhelming response. We're really happy about it.
At the National Stadium tarmac, Maternal and Child Health Officer Dr. Onika Scott cautioned that with increased deaths and new cases every day, persons should take their shots.
What was remarkable and exciting was that we were scheduled to start at 9, and by 8:30, as early as 7 at the other location, we were already attending to clients. People cannot wait What's important to remember as well is that we do have, unfortunately in Guyana, a high death rate from COVID-19. It's increasing. In order for us to get those numbers down, this is what we have to do. Make vaccinations accessible, make them convenient, increase the opportunities for persons to get vaccinated. And this is what the drive-thru is all about.
Meanwhile, persons continue to dub this initiative an innovative one.
It was very comfortable. I'm impressed, and I'm very delighted. Very friendly staff here. Thank you very much.
The process is very good, and I encourage everyone to come and take this COVID vaccine because it's very good, and it is my second shot, and I feel great about it.
Rupa Sinarayan, The Evening News.
Police have arrested a 26-year-old driver salesman of Associated Brands located at A. Goodfruacting, East Coast Demerara, after he alleged that he was robbed of a large sum of cash but later admitted to staging the crime. On Friday, the salesman and 2 delivery men went to Stabrook Square in Georgetown to deliver goods to their customers and collect payments. Around 14 hours, as his 2 colleagues went to make deliveries, the suspect remained in the truck and was counting the day's sales with the door open. He initially reported that 2 bandits entered the canter and robbed him of the cash before escaping along Water Street. The police were called in and CCTV footage reviewed did not support the salesman's story. When confronted, he confessed to concocting the story and taking the day's sales for himself. He identified the 2 accomplices with whom he had arranged to collect the money from him. The police subsequently arrested one of the accomplices on Regent Street with a haversack containing over $500,000 cash, and the man admitted that he was given the money to him by the salesman. The suspect and his 2 accomplices have been taken to the Brickdam police station as further investigations continue. 2 days after the MV BARIMA had to abandon its trip to the Northwest District and return to the wharf in Georgetown, repairs have been conducted to rectify engine trouble it had encountered along its journey. The Public Works Minister inspected the vessel on Friday afternoon at the Transport and Harbor's Good Wharf in Kingston, Georgetown, ahead of its returning to sail later that evening. Here is Lawanda McAllister with more.
On Wednesday, MV BARIMA was bound for Region 1 and was already 1.5 hours into the journey when it was forced to make a U-turn back to the Transport and Harbor's Goods Wharf after developing issues with its engine. Following the completion of the repairs, Minister of Public Works Juan Edgel met the ship's captain to assess the vessel's readiness for travel. He also spoke with the affected passengers and promised to reimburse them for the inconvenience caused.
We have engaged MACORP, and I've been getting reports on what is happening. Yesterday evening, I took the intervention one step higher by having the chairman of the board of Transport and Harbors, Ms. Rosalinda Rasul, to personally intervene to make sure that things are moving.
Minister Edgel also related that the incident is reasons the government has made budgetary provisions to rehabilitate several vessels attached to the TNHD.
Since we came into office, we accelerated the work to get the new vessel for Northwest, which has been funded through the government of India, to be on the go. The good news is we have already signed the contract. Work has begun, and we expect that vessel within 15-16 months because it's an 18-month contract.
A $2.6 billion contract was for the new Indian-funded ocean-going ferry and was awarded to Garden Reach Shipbuilders Engineers Limited. The government has saved $588 million on the award, and as indicated, the money would be redirected to construct new stellings at Moriwana, Kumaka, and Port Kaituma in Region 1. Reporting for the Evening News, Lawanda McAllister.
The prices for vegetables at municipal markets in Region 6 have increased, causing consumers to fume. Our BERBICE correspondent Andrew Carmichael visited the Port Morant market this morning, the busiest day of the region's biggest market, where it was discovered that the current prices for some vegetables are 5 times their recent costs. These prices are expected to escalate even further as most crop-producing areas in the region remain underwater. Let's have a look.
The Port Morant Saturday market is the country's largest market. It is considered a farmer's market. Many consumers flock there on Saturdays, but today many of them were disappointed with the prices for vegetables, which have skyrocketed. Some vendors were retailing tomatoes at $4 for $200 and $6 for $500. Pumpkins for $200 per piece and eggplants at $3 for $500. Cucumbers were being retailed at $6 for $500, while okras were between $260 and $300 per pound. At the New Amsterdam market, okras were being retailed at $360 per pound. Many of the vendors at that municipal market get their vegetables from the Port Morant market. Shoppers were left in shock with a spike in prices, stating that farmers are taking advantage of the flood situation. Lilauti Harinarain is a farmer from the Blackbush Polder, one of the communities hard hit by the floods. She says it is justified for them to increase prices.
Everything, the price raise to everything, because the enough rings in the market. You understand? Whoever they get out, just go buy it for sale. You understand? Just to keep customers up. So when you buy it here, you're going to sell it to get something. You understand?
But persons might argue that, okay, good. This cabbage here, you didn't have to buy it, but the price gone up.
Yes, because instead of we get 4 bags, we gonna get 1 bag. We lose plenty. So we had to sell it to get something. You understand? Because remember, all the labor, drugs, fertilizer, all the expense down there, and I really make nothing. But normally, so you gotta sell carne before you go to the market. If a party $50 pound, you have to sell it. But through the losings, you got to sell to make something. We clear your expense.
However, Colette Allert, who purchases from farmers and retails to consumers at the Port Morant market, is of the view that farmers should not be increasing prices.
Well, the things is expensive due to the flood, but it's too expensive again.
What are some of the prices that you have? Tell me how these things are selling.
Well, the balance we buy $10,000 bag, tomato $8,000, shallot $900, celery $1,000, cucumber $4,000.
How much you would normally pay for Bolonji and cucumber normally?
Normally pay $25.
For Bolonji?
Yes, and the cucumber is paid $2,000.
What about the tomato?
It's a pay $3,000. Until to 8.
Okra used to sell $100, $80 a pound. Now it's $300 a pound. Bora used to sell $150, now $800 a bunch, and $1,000 a bunch.
What about a shallot?
Shallot, we have that plant shallot from Bad Settlement used to sell $100 and $150, now $1,000, $1,500 a pound.
Meanwhile, even as vegetables were in limited supply at the Corriverton, Port Morant, New Amsterdam and Rossignol markets, there are rumors that produce will be less next week. At the New Amsterdam and Rossignol markets, produce are also received from the Purica market. For Evening News, Andrew Carmichael.
We'll now take a look at the bridge reports.
The Demerara Harbour Bridge is expected to be closed on Sunday, June 13, 2021, at 4 hours for a period of 1.5 hours. Meanwhile, the BERBICE River Bridge is expected to be closed at 5 hours 30 on Sunday, June 13, 2021, also for a period of 1.5 hours.
And now for a look at the local stock exchange market compliments of GASI. West Indies suffer heavy defeat. This and more coming up in the Sportcast, sponsored by Macon.
Your #1 supermarket cost cutter has everything you need. Come down to our Sheriff Street or our Track A Farm East Bank Demerara location and shop in comfort, knowing that you're also getting the most competitive prices. We currently have specials on onions, 5 pounds for $500 or a 50-pound bag for $3,500. Purple onions, 25-pound bag for $22.50. Happy macaroni 400-gram packet, 1 for $200 and 3 for $500. Just Juice, a 500 milliliter, 1 for $135 and get 4 for $500. Miran soybean oil 500 milliliter bottle, 1 for $275, 4 for $1,000. Aqua Pure water, 24 330 milliliter bottles, $1,100 per case. Buy 10 cases and get 1 case free, and much more. Give us a call on 231-7180 or 502-5660. You can also WhatsApp our farm branch on 686-6501 and our Sheriff Street branch on 686-7536.
Looking to bring your dream home to reality or simply taking on a home improvement project? Then National Hardware Limited is where you should start. Let us put that touch to your home. Choose from over 1,000 Berger Paint original hues for any surface. We are known for our trusted brands such as Westinghouse, Philips, Satco, Rubbermaid, Pyrex, Gibson Home, and so much more. National Hardware Limited, your do-it-best store, located in downtown Georgetown and industrial site Rijnveld.
Ultra Lubricants, the leading lubricants for tropical conditions, has been serving you for over 40 years, extending the life cycle of your vehicle's engine by protecting it from wear and corrosion, removes impurities, and reducing frequent vehicle oil changes. Ultra Lubricants is for every market, from two-wheel light vehicle to trucks, construction, agriculture equipment, mining activities, and boating. Ultra Lubricants, world-class lubricants for tropical conditions. Distributed by Industrial Supply of Guyana, Inc. and available.
Welcome back. You're watching the evening news. We'll now shift our attention to some sport news.
When you're looking for superior aftermarket parts, where do you get the reliability and convenience to reduce downtime? The answer is Yellow Mark, repair and replacement parts from Caterpillar, that is available only at MacCorp. Yellow Mark was developed by Caterpillar, unlike cheap off-the-shelf aftermarket parts. At MacCorp, we will offer you helpful advice on identifying, finding, and installing the right Yellow Mark part for your operation.
Yellow Mark, for reliability and convenience at a lower cost.
Available